You sent the message. You saw they read it. And then nothing. Days pass, maybe weeks. And the confusing part is that you know they care about you. You've felt it. You've seen it. This isn't someone who checked out. This is someone who went quiet while still caring. And you have no idea why. Or maybe you're the INFJ. Maybe you're the one who stopped replying and you're watching the unanswered messages stack up and you feel terrible about it and you still can't make yourself respond. Not because you stopped caring, for reasons that are much harder to explain than that. This video is going to explain all of it. Let's get into it. When an INFJ goes silent, people usually assume one of two things. Either something is wrong with the relationship or something is wrong with the INFJ. The truth is more specific than either of those. INFJs don't go quiet because they've stopped caring. They go quiet because something in the communication has become more costly to manage than they have the capacity to handle. And that cost is almost always invisible to the person on the other side. Today, we're going to break down exactly what that looks like. 10 specific reasons why INFJs stop replying even when the care is still completely intact. Not theories, real psychological explanations grounded in how the INFJ mind actually works. If you're someone who loves an INFJ and feels confused by the silence, this is going to give you clarity. If you are the INFJ, this might be the first time you've seen your own pattern described out loud. They're running on empty and words cost too much. INFJs don't communicate casually. Even a short message requires something real from them. They want to say the right thing, in the right tone, with the right amount of honesty. They're not capable of firing off a thoughtless reply and moving on without it feeling hollow. Every message they send is, to some degree, an act of presence. And presence requires energy they don't always have. When an INFJ is depleted, truly depleted, not just tired, the cost of responding to even people they love becomes genuinely prohibitive. It's not that they don't want to talk to you. It's that they have nothing left to give that feels worth giving. Sending a half-present, low-effort reply feels worse to them than sending nothing, because it feels like offering you a version of themselves that doesn't represent what they actually feel for you. This is hard for most people to understand because most people can send a quick check-in and feel fine about it. INFJs can't operate that way without it feeling like a performance. So the choice from inside their experience is between performing and staying silent. And they choose silence, intending to come back when they can come back fully. The problem is they don't always communicate that intention. So from your side, it just looks like disappearing. What this means: if an INFJ in your life goes quiet, the first question is not what you did wrong. The first question is whether they're okay. The silence is often less about the relationship and more about an internal resource that has simply run out. Reach out once gently, without pressure. Give them space to come back when they can actually show up. Something you said landed harder than you know. INFJs process emotional input on a delay. Something can happen in a conversation, a comment, a tone, a single word that felt slightly off. And the INFJ will respond normally in the moment because they haven't finished processing it yet. The full weight of it lands hours later, sometimes the next day. By then, the conversation has moved on. And the INFJ is left holding something they didn't have language for in the moment and now feels too late to bring up. When they go quiet after that, it's usually not deliberate punishment. It's processing time. They're sitting with what happened, trying to figure out what it means, deciding whether it's worth raising, questioning whether their reaction is even valid. That internal loop can run for a long time before it produces any kind of resolution. And during that loop, responding to normal messages feels impossible because the normal surface of the relationship no longer matches what's happening underneath it. The frustrating part for both people is that the INFJ often can't articulate what they're processing even if they try. They know something's shifted. They don't always know why or how to explain it in a way that doesn't sound oversensitive. So they stay quiet and keep processing privately, hoping it resolves itself. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it calcifies instead. What this means: if you noticed an INFJ pull back after a specific conversation, don't wait for them to bring it up. Ask directly but softly, "Did something feel off between us?" And give them room to answer without immediately defending yourself. The fact that they're still processing usually means they still care enough to work through it. They're protecting you from the version of themselves they don't like. INFJs hold themselves to an extremely high standard in their relationships. They want to be present, thoughtful, genuinely helpful, the kind of person who adds to your life rather than draining it. When they're in a dark period, dealing with heavy emotions, going through burnout, feeling disconnected from themselves, they are acutely aware of the gap between who they want to be for you and who they actually are in that moment. Rather than bring that depleted, difficult version into your life, they withdraw. The logic is, you deserve the real version of me, and right now I can't give you that, so I'll stay away until I can. From the inside, this feels like a form of care. From the outside, it reads as abandonment, and it often causes exactly the hurt they were trying to prevent. The underlying belief driving this is that their dark or struggling self is somehow burdensome, that asking for support or simply being present while not fully okay is too much to ask of the people they love. This is almost always an inaccurate belief, but it's deeply held, and it causes INFJs to disappear precisely at the moments when connection would help them most. What's this means? The most useful thing you can do is explicitly tell them that the imperfect version of them is still wanted. INFJs need to hear that their presence doesn't require performance. Most of them have never fully believed it. Say it anyway, clearly and more than once. The conversation became a place they couldn't be honest. INFJs have a foundational need for authenticity in their close relationships. They can perform socially when they need to, they're actually quite good at it. But in the relationships they've chosen to invest in, they need to be able to say real things. When that becomes impossible, when they sense that honesty will cause too much conflict, or that what they really think won't be received well, or that the other person only wants a specific version of them, they stop engaging. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes the conversation just starts to feel like a narrow corridor. Like there are only certain responses that are acceptable, certain things that can be said, and certain things that can't. INFJs feel that narrowing intensely. And rather than keep navigating it or keep editing themselves to fit the space available, they quietly step back. The messages pile up unanswered, not because they have nothing to say, but because what they have to say doesn't fit the conversation anymore. This is different from the door slam. It's more gradual, more ambivalent. The INFJ isn't done with the relationship. They're done with the version of a communication that's been happening in it. They're waiting, sometimes unconsciously, for some signal that the space has opened back up, that it's safe to say something real again. Without that signal, the silence tends to extend. What this means, ask yourself honestly whether the last few interactions gave them real room to be themselves, to disagree, to be uncertain, to say something you might not have wanted to hear. If they didn't, that's the thing to address. It's not the silence. The silence is just the symptom. They're stuck in an overthinking loop about the reply itself. Here's one INFJs rarely admit but almost universally experience. The message sits there. They open it. They start composing a reply in their head. That reply doesn't feel right. Too short, too long, doesn't fully capture what they want to say. They close the app, come back, draft something. Still doesn't feel right. Days pass. Now there's the added weight of having taken so long to reply, which means the reply needs to acknowledge that, which adds a whole new layer of complexity to what was originally a simple message. The longer they wait, the bigger the reply needs to be to justify the wait. The bigger it needs to be, the harder it is to write. The harder it is to write, the longer they wait. This is a real, identifiable pattern in people with introverted intuition as a dominant function. The processing runs deep and slow, and the standard for output is high. The INFJ doesn't want to send something that doesn't accurately represent what they're thinking and feeling. And when they can't find the right words, they go silent rather than send something that feels inadequate. There is also genuine shame involved. Most INFJs are deeply aware that their silence is affecting the other person. That awareness doesn't unlock the reply, it makes the loop worse, adding self-criticism on top of everything else. What this means, if you're the INFJ in this loop, give yourself explicit permission to send an imperfect reply. A short, honest message that acknowledges the gap is far better than continued silence. The other person almost always just wants to hear from you. They're not grading the response. They felt the relationship shift before you did. INFJs read relational dynamics with an accuracy that is sometimes uncomfortable. They sense distance before it's visible. They notice when someone's energy changes, when the warmth is slightly less present, when the replies are slightly more clipped, when the dynamic that used to feel a certain way has quietly become something different. Most people wouldn't catch any of this. INFJs catch all of it, and they catch it early. When they sense a shift, even a subtle one, they begin pulling back in response, not always consciously. It's a protective instinct. If the connection is changing, they don't want to be the only still investing at the original level. So they calibrate downward, matching what they're sensing, and the person on the other side often doesn't understand why, because from their perspective, nothing has changed yet. This creates a painful dynamic where the INFJ's withdrawal actually accelerates the distance they were trying to protect themselves from. The other person, feeling the INFJ pulls back in return. The INFJ reads that as confirmation of the shift they already sensed. The connection erodes from both sides, and nobody fully understands how it started. What this means, if you've felt an INFJ become less present and you genuinely don't know why, ask them directly what they're sensing about the two of you. Not defensively, with real curiosity. INFJs almost never bring this up unprompted because they're afraid of being told they're imagining it. But they're almost never imagining it. Naming it early is the only way to actually address it. They're grieving the version of you they thought you were. INFJs invest deeply in the people they choose. Part of that investment is a picture they build through observation, through intuition, through everything you've said and done, of who you really are. They see potential in people that those people don't always see in themselves. They hold a vision of you that is often more generous than what you've actually demonstrated, and they organize their care around that vision. When you do something that contradicts that picture, something that reveals a gap between who the INFJ believed you were and who you actually are, the grief is real and significant. It's not just disappointment at a specific behavior. It's the loss of a version of you they had already built a relationship with in their mind. They have to reconcile the imagined person with the actual one, and that reconciliation takes time, and during that time, they go quiet. This is not the same as the door slam. The door slam is the end. This is a pause in the middle, a period of internal recalibration, where the INFJ is figuring out whether the relationship they thought they had still exists in a form they can invest in. Sometimes they come back with a more realistic version of the connection. Sometimes the gap is too wide. What this means, if you know you did something that likely landed badly with an INFJ and they've gone quiet since, don't wait it out. Acknowledge what happened directly without minimizing it. INFJs don't need a perfect apology. They need to see that you understand what shifted and that you're not pretending it didn't happen. Solitude is how they survive, not how they punish. One of the most common misreadings of INFJ silence is that it's weaponized, that going quiet is a way of making someone feel bad. Sometimes that's true in the most extreme cases. But the vast majority of the time, INFJ silence has nothing to do with the other person at all. It is a personal, private necessity. INFJs are deep introverts. Their baseline energy recovery mechanism is solitude. When they are overwhelmed, emotionally, mentally, socially, the only thing that genuinely restores them is being completely alone with no incoming signals to process. During those periods, every notification is an ask. Every unread message is something requiring a response, which requires energy they don't have. Leaving messages on read isn't a statement. It's the equivalent of closing the door when you need to sleep. It's not about the person on the other side of the door. It's about a system that needs rest. The problem is that most people experience silence as communicative, as something that means something about the relationship. When you're on the receiving end of an INFJ's recovery silence, it's genuinely hard not to take it personally, especially if you can see they've been online but not responding to you. That specific experience is particularly painful, and INFJs often don't realize how it lands. What this means, if the INFJ in your life regularly goes quiet for recovery, have a direct conversation about it during a calm moment. Ask them to give you a signal when they're going under, even just a brief, I need a few days message. That costs them almost nothing and prevents weeks of anxiety on your end. They care too much to give you a half-hearted version. This one sounds like a contradiction, and it isn't. INFJs feel the weight of their relationships seriously. When they're in a conversation with someone they care about, they want to be fully present, fully thinking, fully feeling, fully engaged. They don't want to give you 30% of their attention while the rest of their mind is somewhere else. That, to them, is a form of disrespect. And when they can't be fully present, they default to absence instead. The irony is sharp. The people they care about most are often the ones who hear from them least during hard periods, precisely because those are the relationships where a low-effort response feels most unacceptable. You can send a distracted text to a loose connection without much internal friction. Sending that same distracted text to someone you love deeply feels like offering them something that doesn't represent how you actually feel. So instead, nothing. This logic is not well communicated. The person receiving the silence doesn't know it's a form of respect. They just know they're being ignored by someone who, by all previous evidence, cares about them. The gap between the INFJ's internal reasoning and the other person's experience is enormous, and it causes real damage to relationships the INFJ has no intention of damaging. What this means, INFJs need to understand that a brief, imperfect message, "I'm not in a great headspace right now, but I'm thinking of you," does more for a relationship than disappearing completely. The people who care about you don't need your best self every time. They need to know you're still there. That much, even at your lowest, you can give. The silence is a door left open, not a door being closed. When an INFJ is truly done with a relationship, you usually know. The door slam is final, clean, and cold. The warmth disappears completely. There's no ambiguity in it. What most people experience from INFJs, the extended silences, the slow replies, the going quiet for weeks, is something different. It's not the end, it's a pause. And the distinction matters enormously for how you respond to it. During the pause, the INFJ is not detaching. They're regrouping, they're processing whatever made communication feel impossible. They're waiting, consciously or not, for the conditions to change enough that coming back feels safe and possible. The door is open, they're just not standing in it right now. And the risk is that the other person, not understanding this, interprets the pause as rejection, responds with hurt or their own withdrawal. And by the time the INFJ is ready to come back, the space they were going to return to no longer feels safe. Understanding this pattern changes how you hold an INFJ's silence. Instead of asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" you start asking, "What do they need right now? And how do I keep the door open on my side while they figure it out?" That shift in framing doesn't mean accepting bad communication indefinitely. It means responding to the actual situation rather than the story your anxiety tells you about it. What this means: if the INFJ in your life has gone quiet but hasn't ended anything, if the last real interaction was warm and the silence is the only thing that's cold, don't burn the bridge because you're scared. Send one message, keep it low pressure. Tell them the door is open on your side. Then let them come back when they can. They usually do. INFJ silence is not simple. It's not coldness. It's not indifference. It's almost always the opposite of indifference. A person who cares so much, processes so deeply, and demands so much of themselves in their relationships that functioning normally becomes temporarily impossible. And the people around them pay a price for that they often don't deserve. If you're the INFJ watching this, the people who love you don't need your best. They need to know you're still there. A small, honest message from your worst moment is worth more than prolonged silence from your most principled one. Let people in. The imperfect version of you is still worth showing up as. If this video explained something you couldn't put into words before, share it. Someone in your life probably needs it. Like, subscribe, and leave me a comment with this. Has an INFJ ever gone silent on you? Or have you been the one to go quiet? And looking back now, do you understand why it actually happened?